offering most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our ever-present Lord, invoking Bhagwan's presence and benediction in this holy satsang. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, and my most dear children, my loving Sai Ram to all of you. Firstly, I am immensely grateful to Bhagwan for the blessing of being in this beautiful country with more beautiful Sai brothers and sisters, our fellow pilgrims to the lotus feet of Bhagwan, and especially in this most beautiful, sublime atmosphere, speaking on the most wonderful theme, Journey with Sai. Janab Mehboob Khan was an English teacher who taught Swami when Swami was little Sathya. This blessed soul had recognized the divinity in Bhagwan when Swami was little Sathya, and he would go out of his way to please Bhagwan. And once he comes to Swami's class for his English period, and he is shocked to see Sathya standing on the bench, and obviously he is given a punishment. And he asks the teacher, "Why have you punished little Sathya?" And the teacher, who is sitting on the chair, he says, "See, when I was dictating notes, Sathya was not taking down the notes. He said, I know all the lessons, and he was busy making some Ashtottaram copies to be distributed to his classmates. And naturally, I got angry and I gave him a punishment." Then this teacher, Mehboob Khan, says, "Sir, your period is over and you may please give the period to me." But this teacher who is seated on the chair, he sheepishly says, "I am stuck to the chair. I cannot get up." Then Shri Mehboob Khan ji immediately senses that there is a connection between little Sathya being punished and the teacher being stuck to the chair. He says, "First ask Sathya to come down." And as Swami, little Sathya, comes down, lo and behold, the teacher is able to get up from the chair and free himself from the chair. And my dear brothers and sisters, what does this signify? It is only when God comes down to this earth in the form, or in the most beautiful human form, there is hope for the mankind to get up and ascend to divinity. And the chair that is stuck to the teacher with its 4 legs, what does it signify? The chair is this world, and the 4 legs are nothing but our body, our mind, our intellect, and the ego, which makes us get attached to the world. And when God comes in human form, this is the most beautiful and the unique blessing for us to extricate ourselves from this world to which we are so much attached, and we can ascend to divinity. So speaking on this phenomenon of Avatara, Avatara literally means coming down, and Swami says it is not just an ordinary coming down. When God comes to earth, it is like when a child is crying, the mother lovingly bends down and comes to the level of the child, lifts the child and comforts the child. So it is this divine mother aspect we have in Bhagwan, who is the Shiva Shakti avatar. And Swami also says a highly ranked officer, probably the boss in his office, when he comes home, what does he do? He sits down at the level of the child and teaches ABCD to the child. Similarly, it is the Divine Father we have in Bhagwan who sits down at our level and teaches us the ABCD of spirituality. And this is the divine father and mother we have in Bhagwan, all combined together. And Swami also says, I am the Nataraja, the master dancer, and I teach you the dance steps. But Swami also adds, I alone know the pain of teaching you each and every step. So when Avatar comes to our level, he even struggles and suffers to uplift us. And this is what we have also seen during the earthly sojourn of Bhagwan, isn't it? And when we compare this Satya Sai Avatar to probably the previous avatars like Lord Rama and Lord Krishna, we all know these avatars were confined to royal household, where probably a few Vanaras in the Treta Yuga and Pandavas and Gopalas and Gopikas had the blessing of darshan, sparshan, sambhashan with the Lord. But Swami himself says, never in the history of mankind before an avatar walked like this, talked like this, mingling with multitudes of masses, guiding them onto the path of spirituality and teaching them a life of human values. And that is the uniqueness of Sri Satya Sai Avatar. And we are all a part of this avatar, a generation on this Mother Earth, when this most beautiful avatar walked the earth. So to breathe the same air and to walk on the same soil where Avatar walked is no simple blessing. And this is the most unparalleled opportunity we have got to redeem our lives. And that is the glory of the Sri Satya Sai Avatar. And once Bhagwan, in an interview, speaking to the mother of one of our doctor colleagues, said, I have 3 kinds of rays emanating from me. My gross rays fill the Prasanthi Nilayam. The subtle rays from me, they occupy the entire world, and the causal rays from me, they fill the entire cosmos. And Swami added, those who come in contact with my gross rays, they are sadhakas, seekers. And those who receive my subtle rays, they are Mahatmas, great souls, while those who are the recipients of the causal rays, they are, Swami said, Paramahamsas, a realized master. Paramahamsa is a realized master. And we have this opportunity, the blessing of being the Paramahamsas ourselves when we are with this avatar. And that is the extent to which we can evolve while being with this avatar. And this is the glory of this avatar of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. So what is our role in it? Viveka Chudamani says, Durlabham trayamevaitad devanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha, which means it is only by the immense grace of Lord that we get this triple boon of manushyatvam. Manushyatvam means a human birth. What is the uniqueness of this human birth? Out of the 84 lakhs of species on this Mother Earth, only human being can consciously act. He can consciously build up karma. What type of action he has to undertake? Good, right, righteous, and all this is possible only for human being because of the intellect that we have got, which can exercise the power of discrimination. Because of this, we can consciously evolve and go and build up karma consciously, and not only that, go beyond karma itself and reach the pinnacle in the ladder of evolution, which is divinity itself. For every other being, it comes up the ladder of evolution by the push of nature. They cannot consciously act. And Swami said, what is man? M-A-N. Swami said, M is Maya, overcome. Man is capable of overcoming this Maya itself. A, Atman, realize. He can realize the divinity that is innate within him, his own true nature of supreme consciousness. And N is Nirvana. he can attain to this state of ultimate freedom, and that is the uniqueness of man. Swami also said, man is given the straight spine, the vertebral column, so that he can sit up straight, meditate, and ascend to divinity. See, we all know the legendary stories of devotion of Swami's elephant Sai Gita, isn't it? And Sai Gita was so connected to Bhagwan, she would dance with joy being in her shed the moment Bhagwan used to start from Prasanthi Nilayam. That was her inner connection with Bhagwan. And Swami said, for all the devotion that Sai Gita has for me, she will be rewarded with a human birth in her next life. Such is the rarity of human birth, Manushyatvam, which we have all got. Then Mahapurusha Samshraya, it means discipleship or company of an illumined master. What more do we need than the Paripurna Avatar, Bhagwan Baba himself, isn't it? To be in his company, to be guided by him, that is a rare blessing. Probably I would say a blessing of many, many, many lifetimes, not just one lifetime. And then in between this Manushyatvam and Mahapurusha Samshraya is Mumukshutvam. What is Mumukshutvam? Moksham me bhuyat iti icha. Let me be free from this cycle of birth and death. That deep yearning is Mumukshutvam. And to develop this Mumukshutvam is in our hands, and that is our responsibility and self-effort. There we have to put in the first step and strengthen this mumukshutvam in us. Of course, we all come to Bhagwan's fold through many, many ways. Some are born in the families of devotees devoted to Bhagwan for many, many generations, and some become his students, and some of us, come to Bhagwan through a dream, through a photograph, through a book. And whatever way we come to Bhagwan, we start praying to Bhagwan and we start experiencing Bhagwan's miracles, leelas in our own lives, isn't it? This is what we have been experiencing. But as Swami himself says, I will give you what you want in the beginning so that you come to me seeking what I have come to give you. And when we develop this yearning to seek what he has come to give us, that is the beginning of mumukshutvam in us, and that is the beginning of our real journey with Sai. And this is our own responsibility. Otherwise, as Swami himself says, when the kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree, which can give you the highest, is in front of you, you come asking to me. You come to me asking for 2 kilos of coffee powder, and we will be reduced to that state if we are not able to develop mumukshutvam, the yearning to have this ultimate freedom in our lives. See, we all have unique relationship with Bhagwan, isn't it? To some he is the dear mother, to some he is father, and to some friend, and so on. And once a student asked Swami, Swami, what is the best relationship that we can have with you? And Swami said, consider me as your guru, be my steadfast disciple. Steadfast within quotes, it is up to us to be that type of disciple. Then Swami said, such a bond will last not only this lifetime, but for many, many more lifetimes to come. So even if we are not able to make it in this lifetime, he will be there with us as our guru and guide, and he will take us there. And that is the uniqueness of this guru shishya, the master and the disciple relationship. And Swami himself once said, Lord Krishna was 88 years old and Arjuna was probably 2 or 3 years younger to him when the Bhagavad Gita was given to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Swami said they knew each other for such a long time. They were the best of the friends and the brothers-in-law. But why Bhagwan Krishna chooses this particular moment on the battlefield to teach Arjuna the Bhagavad Gita, which means he teaches him the self-knowledge, That is because Swami said, when Arjuna surrenders to Lord Krishna in the spirit of Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. O Krishna, please be my Guru and take me as your disciple, and please instruct me as to what I should be doing now. I am confused as to what dharma is and I do not know what to do. You please instruct me. Nishchitena bruhi, he says. You please tell me for sure what I should be doing. And Swami says it is only when Arjuna surrenders to the Lord, being his disciple, being willing to receive what the Lord has come to give him, that is only when the Lord teaches him Bhagavad Gita. And even to us, when we seek from him what he has come to give us, that is only then we can benefit most from this avatar. So what is the most obstacle in this journey with Sai, especially when we are, cultivating this mumukshutvam? Once, Swami had given a set of tasks to a senior devotee. And next day, the devotee comes and Swami asks him and goes through the checklist. Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And when it comes to a particular task, the devotee is silent. Then Swami understands he has not done this and asks him, why didn't you complete this? The devotee is silent. Then Swami says, see, there are thousands of people who are waiting for one instruction from me to serve me. And here I give you a list of tasks and you have not completed it. And this devotee, probably a senior devotee who could take liberties with Swami, he says, Swami, I forgot. It is old age, Swami. And then the devotee even goes on to say, Swami, my forgetting is also your Maya only, Swami. Because of your Maya, I forgot, Swami. Then Swami becomes serious and Swami says, I am not Maya Swarupa, I am Jyotis Swarupa. See, when Bhagwan uses such words for our mind, it's difficult to comprehend. So the loving Lord that he is, he explained in a simple way. Swami said, there is the sun and there is the shadow. And don't blame the sun for the shadow. If the shadow is there, there is something in between. And Swami said, that is your own mind. That is coming in the way. And that is what is probably the obstacle for us in this journey with Sai. And how to deal with it is probably I am going to deliberate on today in this talk. And Swami says this mind of ours is like a rat. What does a rat do? The rat is active in darkness when it is night, isn't it? And it goes and gathers all the tinsel and trash and the rubbish and it keeps on hoarding it. Similarly, our mind also intensely involved with the world, and there are 5 senses to gather information from the world, and this is what the mind is constantly doing like the rat. Especially in this day and age, there is no dearth of avenues for the mind to engage in, isn't it? With all these various social network sites, see, probably we used to pray Karagre Vasate Lakshmi when we got up in the morning, and now what is it? It is like Karagre Vasate Facebook, Karamadhye Twitter, Karamuletu WhatsApp, Prabhate Phone Darshanam. That is what our mind is reduced to now. See, we all chant 3 Shantis, seeking protection from 3 kinds of obstacles, isn't it? Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika. The obstacles that could arise from other beings and from the demigods and from our own body and mind. But today, what we need most importantly is the 4th Shanti, the mobile Shanti. And this is what the mind is constantly engaged in. See, we all would prefer a window seat when we traveled by a train or a bus when we were children. But today we may not want a window seat, but we have a window of different kind in our hands all the time, isn't it? Nevertheless, the activity is the same, and more intensely the mind is involved so much with the world all the time. And this is the rat that our mind is. And what do we do with this rat? See, there is a different rat the rat of the vehicle of Lord Ganesha, the Mushaka, whose name is Aninda. And what is this Aninda, this special rat, doing, this mouse of Lord Ganesha? If we look into the photo of Lord Ganesha, we see this Mushika, Aninda, is seated at the lotus feet of his master, and his vision is glued to his master. He is completely focused on the master. And because of this single pointed focus on his master, what does this Aninda get? He gets the Modakam. The Modakam is nothing but the wisdom itself. So if we are able to focus our mind on Bhagwan all the time, this wisdom is what we will get from him, and this is how our mumukshutvam will also be strengthened, and that will take us to what Bhagwan has come to give us. So what are the problems of this mind? Let us briefly analyze. See, a devotee in probably a Sai center here, when he comes for a Thursday bhajan, he says, next week I am going to Puttaparthi, and with COVID norms being in place, still I may not get an accommodation inside the ashram and I may have to stay outside. Then another devotee, a good Samaritan, he says, don't worry brother, I have an apartment in Puttaparthi. I'll give a note to you and take this note and give it to the caretaker, and he will allow you and you can be in my apartment and, enjoy your stay in Puttaparthi and have darshan. So this devotee comes to Puttaparthi with a note in his hand and goes to the apartment, and he rings the bell. It's a while when the door opens, and as soon as the door opens, this devotee sees 3 or 4 hefty, nasty looking people at the door, and they are in no mood to listen to this devotee. They just take the note from him. He's trying to explain, it is my friend's apartment and I want to stay here. He's given me permission. But the note itself is torn into pieces, and they left the devotee and they put him out. See, this is what happens to us. When one fine day we decide, yes, enough is enough, and I must focus on my sadhana, I must focus my mind on Bhagwan, so tomorrow morning I will get up 5 o'clock in Brahma Muhurtam, I will start meditating. See, all these things which are in the mind, which have inhabited the mind, just like this men who had inhabited the flat, they are in no mood to listen to us. They will just throw the thought of meditation itself away from the mind. So what are these? They are the impurities of the mind, which is called Chittamala. And these impurities, who are lurking in each and every corner of the mind, who have inhabited the mind for such a long time, and they will not allow us to do our sadhana. So what is it that we need to do? So these impurities have to be first cleansed away. So we need to have Chitta Shuddhi, purity of the mind. And what are these impurities? And our SSC children will know, they will tell, it is the Arishad Vargas, the 6 inner enemies. And the family of this 6 inner enemies, the impurities in the mind, that itself is the family of selfishness. And the mother in this family is desire, Kama. And if she is appeased, if the desire is fulfilled, she will give birth to 3 children. I want to have more and more and more. She will give birth to Lobha, greed. And once I have got it, I am so proud, I possess all these things and I have got all my desires fulfilled. There is Mada, which is called pride. And then once I have got it, I hold on to it, I cannot part with it. There is this attachment, moha. And suppose the mother is not appeased, even then she will give birth to 2 children. They are krodha, anger. I didn't get it. And I didn't get, my colleague got the promotion which I deserved, so there is matsarya, jealousy in me. And if all these impurities have to be cleansed away, what is the method? And Bhagwan prescribes us karma yoga to purify our mind, to get chitta shuddhi, that is purity of mind. And what does karma yoga do? And how does it give us Purity. See, whatever I was doing till now to satisfy this little bundle of flesh, I, me, mine, or at the most my family, now I will do it for a higher goal, a nobler goal, without asking what is in it for me. There is no expectation of a personal reward. And I am doing it for a higher goal, and also I am doing it as an offering to Swami in the spirit of dedication to Bhagwan. And I do not have an eye on the fruit of action. I've given up my attachment to the fruit of action. I do everything as Naivedyam, offering to Bhagwan, and receive every outcome as his prasadam. And this is the spirit of Karma Yoga. And it is this spirit that cuts at the root of selfishness, when we are not doing it anymore for I, me, myself, the little I in us. And that is how it gives us Chitta Shuddhi, or purity of the mind. And another problem probably is when we all sit to meditate, we experience the mind goes to sleep. See, there is a story that when Kumbhakarna was slayed by Lord Rama, this Nidra Devi goes running to Lord Rama and says, see, Kumbhakarna's mind was a safe haven for me. I could sleep there all the time. Once in a while, Kumbhakarna will get up and eat something, and then he goes back to sleep. So I would be peacefully there. But now I don't know where to go. And she says, probably I will stay in the mind of those who want to meditate. That is why probably, when we want to meditate, we are overtaken by sleep. And this is nothing but the tamo guna, the dull mind, the lazy mind that is there in us. And this tamo guna has to be overcome. So Karma Yoga is the prescribed method for this also. Somebody who is sleeping, let him get up and give him some seva, let him do some work, and he can overcome the Tamoguna. So this Karma Yoga not only helps us to get Chitta Shuddhi, but also help to overcome Tamoguna. And there is one more problem in the mind, and we have all noticed the mind is restless. This is called vikshepa of the mind. As Swami says, mind is like a monkey, a mad monkey which is drunk with alcohol and which is also bitten by scorpion. So what a chaos it is inside the mind, we can all imagine, and this is what we are going through, and that is why we are not able to sit quietly and focus our mind in any sadhana on Swami, isn't it? The mind just keeps running to the world, just like a monkey that jumps from branch to branch and tree to tree and covers the entire forest in just, tries. This is how the mind also jumps from thought to thought. And what is the method prescribed for this? Bhagwan says there are bhakti practices for you, which is called bhakti yoga or upasana. And one of the most important practices, the simplest one, and which doesn't need any special qualification. Wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we can do this to focus our mind on Bhagwan. It is nothing but namasmarana, chanting the name of the Lord incessantly. See, when we start chanting the name of my personal God, MPG, that is Swami for all of us, when we are able to focus our mind on chanting one name all the time, it is like training the monkey to climb the same tree up and down instead of running it let amok. And this is how we get Chitta Ekagrata, or the single pointed focus of the mind, which helps us not only to overcome this vikshepa, the wandering, the wavering nature of mind, and also to overcome Rajoguna. What does Rajoguna do? Of course, Rajoguna is essential for action, energy, dynamism, enthusiasm, but most importantly, it is this Rajoguna that makes us get attached to the world. And when we chant the name of Bhagwan, this Rajoguna also comes down. And there are, of course, many bhakti practices which we are all doing, singing the glory of Bhagwan and meditating on the beautiful form of Bhagwan and studying his teachings. All these are bhakti practices. But the simplest one would be, very easy to do, we can say, is this Namasmarana, and all of us can easily practice this highest spiritual sadhana. Even Bhagwan says, if dhyana, meditation, was the prescribed means in Krita Yuga for liberation, and in Treta Yuga, Swami says, it was penance, tapas, and in Dwapara Yuga, the prescribed means for liberation was archana, ritualistic worship. But in Kali Yuga, Swami says, the Kali Yuga avatar himself has told us the prescribed means for liberation is Namasmarana. How? Namasmarana gives us the opportunity of highest satsang. Satsang is not only, being in the company of spiritually minded people, but satsang is also, sat means that highest eternal self, Bhagwan, divinity himself, and sang, to be in that company. So by chanting the name of Swami, we are able to be in satsang all the time, all by ourselves, without any external aid at all. So satsangatve nisangatvam, this satsanga through Namasmarana gives us nisanga, that is, we wean ourselves from the world, and nisanga leads to nirmohatvam, the delusion that I am this body, I am the mind, that goes away. Swami says, what is moksha? It is mohakshaya. When the delusion that you are this body, you are the mind, that is destroyed, that itself is moksha. So this nisangatve, it leads to nirmohatvam. Nirmohatve nischala tattvam. We are able to be established in the supreme principle, and that leads to Jivan Mukti, that is, we are liberated here, now, and this is the greatness of Namasmarana. And we all know about Peddabattu Amma, isn't it? She was the blessed soul who had been with both Shirdi Sai Avatar and Sathya Sai Avatar. See, she would sleep in a veranda outside Bhagwan's room, and one night before going to sleep, she says, Sai Rama. And Swami immediately opens the door and comes out and asks, why did you call me? She says, Swami, where did I call you, Swami? I just said Sai Rama, that's all. Swami says, when you call out my name like this, I will be there for you. It is like beckoning to me. And so this Namasmarana is the 24/7 hotline to be connected to Bhagwan. And everything that we do, every little thing that we do can be sanctified with the name of Bhagwan through Namasmarana. And Bhagwan said, gave a very interesting tip to do this Namasmarana. Swami said, see, this probably happened in the 60s and 70s when the television and the internet were all not there, and all that was there was radio. Swami said, in a radio program, the songs are being played. And when one song gets over, before the next song comes on air, in that brief interval, in that momentary interval, there is an advertisement which comes on air. Just like this, Swami said, when you are absorbed in some task, you cannot be doing Namasmarana because your mind has to focus on the task at hand. But just as you finish one work and before you move on to another work, this Namasmarana, the mind should must be tuned to this Namasmarana mode, and that Namasmarana should come on air. And this is how you can keep on doing Namasmarana and sanctify our whole day itself. See, speaking about this bhakti, we should know all these bhakti practices should not become a mundane mechanical ritual for us. Once a lady comes to Bhagwan and says, Swami, I have written down many pages of Likhita Nama Japa. I have completed so many books, Swami. Every day I write so many times. Swami said, aha, your handwriting would have improved. That's all. So it should not become like this. Any bhakti practice, even Namasmarana, must be done with awareness for what we are doing this, and there must be intensity, the bhava must be there. And also 2 days I meditate, third day no, I am realized it will not work. there must be consistency in the practice, because mind is a great trickster. It will trick us in many, many ways. So today some guests have come to your house and you have some additional work. You can skip your meditation. That's what the mind tends to tell us, isn't it? But mind is a slave of repetition. Whatever we do repeatedly, every day, day after day, come what may, whether we are in a mood or not, we must do our personal sadhana every day. Don't skip. Then what happens? The mind gets trained through that practice itself, and this is called abhyasa. So there has to be awareness. And see, Baba is be aware, be alert. Be aware of the goal all the time, why you are doing this particular spiritual practice. Be alert to the pitfalls. So just if we can prevent, a slip, if we recognize a slip in our spiritual sadhana, if we are able to recognize the slip and come back on the track, we can prevent a mighty fall in our spiritual sadhana. So be aware, be alert to these small, small pitfalls. So consistency, intensity, and awareness. And how do we get this intensity? See, Swami himself says, this bhakti is not a uniform. We wear our uniform on weekdays, Sundays, and the public holidays, we won't wear the uniform. The school children also, isn't it? Bhakti is not like that. It's not a part-time thing. It's a full-time occupation. So what do we do to bring this intensity in our bhakti practice? So from dawn to dusk, whatever we are required to do, if we are able to divinize it, spiritualize it, connect it to the thought of Bhagwan, then such a mind can easily focus on God, on Bhagwan, even in our personal sadhana. It is after all the same mind which has to involve with the world, the day-to-day activities, and the same mind has to focus on Swami in meditation, isn't it? And so to divinize our daily life, there is no dearth of tips that Bhagwan gives us. Swami says, when you get up in the morning, offer your day to Bhagwan. Swami, in your presence throughout the day I am acting. In fact, think through me, Swami. Speak through me. Do this through me. Do the office work through me. Household chores through me. Everything, Swami. So this is how we begin the day. And Bhagwan himself, very simply he says, when you have a bath, just as you clean your body with soap and water, cleanse your mind by chanting the Gayatri mantra, Swami says. Why? Gayatri mantra, we pray, Dhyo yonah prachodayat, may my intellect be illumined. And this is what we need to do, to elevate our mind through the intellect so that it can focus on the higher goal all the time. And Swami also says, Swami told this to one of our senior devotees in Sultanate of Oman. He said, when you meditate, complete your meditation, end your every meditation session, Swami said, by chanting the Gayatri mantra 3 times. Because Swami said, when you meditate, your mind is in a higher plane of consciousness. And if you chant the Gayatri mantra, the intellect get illumined so that you are able to maintain that higher state, the prayerful state, the meditative state throughout the day. See, such a simple tip, we can all do this so easily, isn't it? And Swami says, even in night before you go to bed, chant the Gayatri mantra. Because Swami says, chanting Gayatri mantra is like giving money and buying goods. There is no credit carried forward to the next day. Similarly, when you chant the Gayatri mantra, the day's karmas are atoned for, Swami says, on that particular day itself, and there is no carrying forward of karma. And these are all these are simple sadhanas that Bhagwan gives us to connect our mind to the thought of divinity throughout the day so that bhakti becomes a full-time practice for us. And as we all know, we chant the Brahmarpanam prayer as the food prayer. And Bhagwan says, when you chant Brahmarpanam, the food you are eating, that itself is consecrated and it becomes Lord's prasadam. And also the 3 types of purity That is Paka Shuddhi, Padartha Shuddhi, Patra Shuddhi, the purity of the utensils where you cook the food, and also the purity of the ingredients and the process of cooking itself. That is ensured when we chant Brahmarpanam prayer. See, in Brahmarpanam, what are we chanting after all? If we look at the meaning of Brahmarpanam, we are saying that the oblation that is offered into the sacrifice is Brahman. The ladle with which it is offered is Brahman. And one who offers this oblation is Brahman, and one who receives is also Brahman. And if we are able to see Brahman in all actions, we become Brahman. That is this prayer. But why is this used as a food prayer? Just think. See, eating is something which we do for our survival itself, isn't it? We do it 3 or 4 times a day. We have our meals and we enjoy our food also, especially when we are hungry. And eating is a process where all the senses are involved in this process. So even in this process of natural enjoyment, a mundane enjoyment that we do every day, day in and day out, if we are able to remember our true identity of Brahman, we verily become that Brahman. See, just think, if we are able to extend this Brahmarpanam attitude to every little thing that we do, we will be constantly living in a spiritual beatitude where we assert to ourselves that I am the Supreme Self. And some other very interesting tips that Bhagwan gives us to be connected to Him is, he says, when you cut vegetables, think that your ego is being cut into pieces. And when you are sweeping and mopping, your heart is swept of all the impurities. And Swami says, when you are rolling chapatis, just as the concentric circles of chapatis grow, think that your love is growing likewise. And when we are doing dishes, probably we can say our karmas are being washed away. So every little thing, as mundane as this, can be divinized with the, through the teachings of Bhagwan. Actually, there is nothing ritual at all. Every ritual becomes spiritual when we do it with awareness and when we connect it to the thought of Bhagwan. See, it is said, when we supernaturalize the natural, the supernatural becomes natural and it becomes our second skin. The whole day from dawn to dusk, we will be living in this thought of Bhagwan. Probably when we go to bed, we may say, we are going to sleep in the lap of the Divine Mother, and that will help us to sleep peacefully. And that is how this bhakti practice is not only the 10 minutes of morning or evening sadhana, but divinizing the entire day's activity itself. And this helps us to overcome vikshepa of the mind and also the attachment nature of the mind, which is called Rajoguna. And once like this, the mind is purified through karma yoga, the mind is unified through bhakti yoga, then we come to the third problem of the mind, which is avarana, veiling of the truth. We do not know who we truly are, that unchanging supreme consciousness. That's why we think we are this body and the mind. And to overcome this avarana, Bhagwan gives us this sadhana of jnana marga, the path of wisdom, where there are 3 stages: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. We systematically study the teachings of Bhagwan, we listen to Bhagwan's teachings, that is Shravana, and we reflect upon them so that the teaching becomes clear to us, and then we strive to live our life in the light of Bhagwan's teachings so that that becomes a living reality for us. And this is the stage of Nididhyasana. This is continuous commitment to the cause of what we have to become when we are with Bhagwan. That is called Nididhyasana. That is prolonged meditation upon the truth that we are divine, the divinity itself. As Swami says, I am God, so are you. I know it, you do not know it. In fact, this life is given to you in order to learn how not to be born again, to put an end to this cycle of Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, isn't it? See, it is, the next line is Punarapi Janani Jathare Shayanam. It is so powerfully put We all have probably, beautiful mansions and where we want cross ventilation. But just, think when we are in the womb of the mother, there is not even a small window there. It is such a hot atmosphere. And the child is living, lying in its own urine and feces. And such an atmosphere, do we want to come back to it again and again? Punarapi janani jatare shayanam. How to avoid this? That is only when we are committed to this cause, that is nididhyasana, that we want to realize our divinity. And this is what strengthening this mumukshutvam and seeking from Bhagwan what he has come to give us. So these are the paths in our spiritual journey that have to be practiced. And there cannot be any compromise on it, because our mind is pure, our mind is also attached, and we do not know the truth. Our mind cannot comprehend. So all the paths have to be followed, and that is why Bhagwan has, put all these together in the form of a comprehensive program. That is the 9-point code of conduct that Bhagwan has given us as the charter to Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization. And all the activities are designed for us to practice all these 3 paths together, hand in hand. And that is why we cannot, afford to compromise. I will attend only bhajan session in the samiti, in the center, and I will skip my study circle because I am not interested in it. Or I will do only seva. That will not work. All the activities have to be diligently practiced. And, Swami said, how are this karma, bhakti, jnana interrelated? And once a student asked Swami, you say sometimes that karma yoga is more important, Swami. And another day in the discourse you said jnana is very important. Without that you cannot, have moksha. And some days you say only bhakti is okay. But what is this, Swami? It is so confusing, and what should we do? Tell us in a simple way. And then Swami asked the student, have you seen a ladder? He said, yes, Swami. How does a ladder look like? There are these 2 poles on either side and rungs in between. Swami said, there you are. See, the 2 poles on either side are bhakti and jnana. And these rungs are the steps of karma. Start taking one step after the other on these steps of karma. And as you keep on practicing this karma yoga, both these have to increase, the bhakti and jnana. They are so interrelated that we cannot afford to say, first I will get chitta shuddhi and then I will do my sadhana. No, both seva, sadhana, satsang that we do, svadhyaya, studying Bhagwan's teachings and putting into practice, and silence, that is meditating upon Bhagwan. And all these are all the simultaneous practices that should go together. After all, see, we have this affective component in us, that is the heart. So the heart has to be purified. So we need bhakti, sadhana. And also we have this intellect. We are capable of thinking, and that clarity has to come. Therefore, we need jnana yoga, the path of wisdom. And we are all capable of action. We should know the right art of action. So karma yoga is necessary. So for this head, heart and hand, if they have to go simultaneously together, all the paths are necessary for us. And most importantly, there is one thing that I would stress on, apart from all this, together with all this seva and sadhana and all the activities that Bhagwan has given us, the most important thing I would say is self-introspection. Self-introspection to see whether we are on the goal all the time. Where is our awareness? Are we just getting carried away by the means itself? See, a bhajan singer, if he sings bhajan with the intention that I must be the lead singer every time, I should be given the Ganesha bhajan and people should recognize me. And if he gets carried away by the role that he is playing, he will lose sight of the goal itself. After all, why bhajan is sung? It is take us to Bhagwan, isn't it? So that goal itself might be lost if we get, carried away by the role. So the awareness has to be there. Where was my awareness today in my seva, sadhana, in all the activities that I am doing? Did it deviate away from Bhagwan? That is a matter of self-introspection. And self-introspection also helps us to assess our own progress. Am I the same person which I was 10 years or 20 years ago when I came to Bhagwan? Am I the same person, which I am today? Is there any inner transformation? That is a matter of self-introspection for us. And Swami once said to a devotee, your spiritual growth is not measured by the car you drive or the bank balance you have, but it is measured by the amount of unconditional love you are able to give to your fellow beings, and also the selfless service, the amount of selfless service that you are able to do. And this is what should happen to us. And when this devotee said, Swami, it is so difficult, Swami, all these things you say, love all, serve all. Swami said, it is difficult because of two things, Swami said. There are two F's, Swami said. What is this? First F is either you forget or you are fearful. What do we forget? We forget the omnipresence of God. Those two watchful eyes which are on us all the time. If we live in this omnipresence, I would even say omnivigilance of Bhagwan, the watchful eyes on us, we would not be indulging in those undesirable things which we would be otherwise doing, isn't it? We will purify everything, every thought, word and deed of ours. See, in the 60s, there was no camera in Puttaparthi, and one devotee had brought a very good camera, and everyone wanted to take a photograph with Bhagwan, and Bhagwan is seated on the throne and everybody is there, and nobody wants to click the photograph because they will lose the opportunity of being photographed with Bhagwan. Then Swami says, okay, I myself will click the photo, and he gets up and comes and he takes the photo. And everyone is disappointed. After all, we want the photo with Bhagwan, and he himself is not there and the chair is empty, the throne is empty. What is the point of taking this photograph? Then when this photo is developed, lo and behold, Bhagwan is majestically seated on the throne. And what does it tell us? What is the profound message that we can get from this? We all keep a chair for Bhagwan in our homes probably, definitely in our Sai centers, and here we have a chair. And no chair is empty, including the chair that is there in our own heart. If we are able to have this conviction, if we live in this awareness, then you just think our behavior will be exemplary, isn't it? And this is how we grow in our spiritual journey also. We forget the presence of Bhagwan. See, once a devotee asked Swami, Swami, we are all like the villain in Mahabharata, Duryodhana, who said, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi. See, Swami, we know that what we are doing is a mistake, but we cannot stop this mistake. We keep on doing the mistake again and again. This is all our own lives, whether we accept it or not, isn't it? We just keep doing the same thing over and over again, knowingly also. When Swami said, that is because you forget the omnipresence of Bhagwan. You forget that Bhagwan is looking over you, and that is why you do the mistake. It is as simple as that, Swami said. And this is one thing, not to forget this every moment in our life. And Swami said, you are afraid, fearful. Afraid of what? Afraid of losing our little identity. I am Mr. So-and-so. I have done all these things. I have accomplished. I must get the credit for it. Even when we come to Sai organization, when we are involved in seva, sadhana activities, the subtle tendencies are there in us, isn't it? Someone must recognize, must give credit. I must grow itself, in the organization in terms of probably various positions. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. This is a tendency that is there. Even in the sadhana, seva that we do, we keep talking about it. That is the doership, the little I that we have got. See, if this little I is not attenuated through our seva and sadhana, all the spirituality, all the practices that we do in the name of spirituality, that will be just reduced to intellectual gymnastics or a rhetorical acrobatics. That's all. We will not go anywhere in our journey with Bhagwan. And with Brother Sai Giridhar's permission, I want to share this. Brother Sai Giridhar once asked Swami, you say we have to see this unity in diversity. We know this, but the mind always goes to diversity. Why, Swami? And Swami said, correct me, brother, if I am not properly telling. Swami said, it is because swartham swaprayojanam. Self-centeredness, I, me, mine again. Swaprayojanam, what is in it for me? What am I getting out of it? Even in seva and sadhana, this is the subtlest tendency. And unless we are able to get out of it, that is the thing we are, afraid of losing. That is why we hold on to the body, hold on to the mind. This identity of body-mind becomes so important to us unless we are able to overcome. As Swami says, you are not one, you are three. You are not, you are what you think you are what others think you are. The first one is the body, what others think you are, that is the mind. But you are what you truly are. If we are not able to overcome this, then this journey is, this seeking what Bhagwan has come to give us, that is a very far, far cry for all of us. And see, in this journey, this, reminds me of yet another Chinnakatha that Bhagwan narrates. Swami says, one night, a drunken man decides that he wants to row the boat and reach the other side of the bank of the river. So he starts rowing, and in spite of rowing all through the night with all his might, next day he finds out that the boat has not moved an inch because he has forgotten to raise the sail. So are we forgetting to raise our sail in this journey of boat with Bhagwan is something what we have to ask ourselves. So what is the sail that we must be raising? See, once to the MBA batch of 1988 to 1990 batch of MBA students, Bhagwan to every student materialized a photograph. And it's an old black and white photograph which you might have seen. And in this photograph, there are two Swamis standing opposite to each other like this. And the caption is, take a moment, remind yourself, he speaks, he listens. That is the photograph. Swami said, when you are talking to somebody, interacting with somebody, that is you, the Swami in you. And the person who is listening to you, interacting with you, he is also Swami. And if you live in this awareness, you will be Swami. And this is what Swami said. And looking at the puzzled expression on the face of a student, Swami said, I know what is running through your mind. You are thinking, the Swami in me is good. But what happens if the Swami in the other person, if he is bad, what should I do? Then Swami said, this is your doubt, isn't it? Don't worry, even if the other Swami becomes bad, the person with whom we are interacting, you retain your innate goodness. You be the good Swami. So this is the sail that we have to raise in our journey with Bhagwan. And these are some of the thoughts I wanted to share, the profound teachings of Bhagwan, which Bhagwan has simplified so well for us so that we can practice. See, we don't act upon our knowledge. Our actions, are not based on our knowledge. The knowledge is there, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind here in the head. But we continue to behave like body and mind. So our actions are based upon our conviction. Whatever we are convinced of, based on that we act. And Bhagwan's teachings, the simple teachings, the practical teachings give us this conviction. So it is very important to practice his teachings. And with deepest sense of gratitude, I thank Bhagwan for this wonderful blessing of dwelling upon some of his teachings in this August assembly. And I pray to Bhagwan on behalf of all of us to bless us so that instead of rowing our little boat ourselves, let us get into this huge steamer ship that Avatar is. See, when Avatar comes, it is the opportunity for the entire mankind together, to travel in the ship with the Avatar, so that we are able to board this steamer, the ship that Bhagwan, the Avatar, is. And what is the ticket that we have to buy here? To practice, that is the practice of teachings of Bhagwan. So we are able to be transported in this ship by Bhagwan himself across this, ocean of samsara to the shore from where there is no return. And this is my humble prayer to Bhagwan today on behalf of all of us. And I am extremely grateful to all of you for your time and patience. Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Sai Ishwararpanamastu. Thank you very much. Jai Sai Ram.